thermos to the sheriff. "We had a call from a camper about a light they saw from a trail off on that hill on the left there, so we were looking around. They had a screw-loose arsonist 2 summers ago over in Idaho who burned down 100 square miles, so they're always quick to send us out for violators." "Violators?" Agent Braddock said, squinting down into the shadowed landscape below them. Barbara nodded. "Yep," Braddock finally said. "They send us out on those calls, too." 2. Down the hollow's steep and tricky zigzagging trail, Kit Hagen was sweating in less than 3 minutes. She'd never seen so much rock. Rock in ridges and in slopes and slides and in crevices, all of it as gray as ashes. Born and raised outside of L.A., she took in the bowl-like indentation and was reminded weirdly of Dodger Stadium of all things. It was as if God had chiseled an immense baseball stadium of rock into the side of a mountain, and they were now heading down from the nosebleeds for the field. A sudden crunching sound of falling rocks just below on the trail made Kit stop in her tracks. As she watched, Braddock lunged forward and caught Sheriff Kirkwood by his jacket's back collar just before he could fall. "Thanks," the sheriff said as he stepped to his right and peeked over the trail edge. Kit Hagen looked down with the both of them to where the land fell off sharply. 4 or 5 stories below, there was a stream, green and bubbling as it wound its way down the mountain through a serrated ravine. "Pretty steep indeed," Agent Braddock said, looking back at her with a wide-eyed nod. They continued their descent. 6 feet even and broad-shouldered with close-cropped hair, Section Chief Dennis Braddock looked more like an ironworker foreman or a professional rugby player than an FBI agent. For his homicide course at the FBI Academy, his wife Anna had valiantly attempted to soften the former Marine's bulk and blunt-edged features with professorial khakis, tweed blazers, and dad ties. But it didn't work. "Watch your step," Ranger Barbara called back from farther down the trail. Hagen smiled as she watched the lanky ranger duck under the trunk of a huge dead branchless pine sticking out over the trail at a rudely phallic angle. She was still smiling to herself at the weenie tree when the trail finally leveled off another 50 feet below it. As she stood in the base of the hollow, its high rock walls didn't remind her of Dodger Stadium anymore. Then her smile evaporated as she looked over a tumble of rocks a few car lengths away and finally found what they had come here to see. 3. Sticking straight up in the gap between 2 exercise ball-sized rocks, 30 feet to the right of the trail, was a foot. The pale bare foot of what seemed to be a young woman. Obscured by the rock, the rest of the body wasn't visible. Thank God for small mercies, Kit Hagen thought. She and Braddock glanced at each other grimly in the hollow's half-light. "What time yesterday evening did you arrive here?" Braddock said to the ranger as he unslung his pack. "It was a little after 8, Barbara said. 8:07, I think. It's in my report up in the truck. And no one else has been here. No supervisors or co-workers. No one," Braddock said. "No one," Barbara said. "Not unless they snuck in under my truck last night. 100 feet down the trail is covered with a rock slide. That trail we came down is the only way in or out. Give us a break already," Sheriff Kirkwood said to the agent. "We weren't down here taking selfies if that's what you're worried about. I wanted to bring in county homicide from the second the call came in, but Park Service said you guys said to hold off. I know this isn't D.C., but even hick hayseeds like us like to think we're at least a little professional." "So you've been here all night?" Kit Hagen said to Barbara. Barbara nodded. "It's okay. I got no problem with overtime." "And I take it you're wearing the same boots," Braddock said as he sat on a rock and pulled a pair of blue surgical booties over his own. "Yep," the lanky ranger said, looking down at his Red Wings. "These ones aren't even hardly broken in." "Okay, gentlemen, you can wait right here," Braddock said, tossing Hagen a pair of latex gloves. "This won't take long. We're just going to go over and look and take some pictures, and we'll head back up. The other members of our team will be by later for the full scene processing." "Actually, do either of you have a phone?" Kit Hagen said. "I left mine back in the Tahoe." "No, sorry," Barbara said, patting his pockets. "Mine's in my truck, too." "I have one, but good luck getting service," Sheriff Kirkwood said, taking a smartphone out of his jacket pocket. "He's right," Barbara said. "Nearest cell site is 30 miles away. If you need to call someone, only the radio back in my truck is..."